Greetings and welcome to the Culture Ward, where we dissect and dismantle pop culture in all its forms. Welcome to a new edition of the Weekly Wrap-Up, a series where we take a look at some recent pop culture news stories and offer our thoughts and opinions. Rumors about the massive budget of Avengers Doomsday cast serious doubt on the profitability of the upcoming mega-Blockbuster. Can this movie exceed expectations and revive the dying MCU? Join us as we take a not-too-deep dive into the news on this installment of the Weekly Wrap-Up. But before we begin, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and help us grow the channel. As always, it really means a lot to us. And don't forget to like and share the video if you enjoy the content. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Well, now we have to talk about the next Avengers movie, Avengers Doomsday, which is set to release late this year. The last Avengers movie, Endgame, released all the way back in 2019, a wait of more than 7 years. Now, there have been quite a few other MCU films released during the interim, but how many of those brought the kind of praise and recognition that the MCU used to experience pre-Endgame? Black Widow, the Eternals, Shang-Chi, Ant-Man Quantumania, The Marvels, Captain America Brave New World? And what about the slop that's been dumped onto Disney+? Is there anything there worth a second watch? Or even a first watch? No, the MCU has fallen pretty far from the heights it had achieved in 2019. In phases 1 through 3, which basically ended with Endgame, almost every movie made a profit at the box office, except maybe The Incredible Hulk, with 9 of those movies breaking the $1 billion barrier and 2 cracking $2 billion. Meanwhile, phases 4 to 6, the post-Endgame era, have so far spawned at least 7 box office flops, which is roughly half the movies released, and only 2 that have broken $1 billion. Now, folks have tried to explain and rationalize the obviously lackluster performance of the post-Endgame MCU, with many people talking about superhero fatigue, oversaturation, lingering effects from the COVID era, and shifting priorities of moviegoers in an age of soaring prices. And there is probably merit to most of those arguments, although I don't think COVID has had anything to do with the box office since 2022 at the latest. But certainly, oversaturation of content, requiring people to do homework to get caught up before the next big blockbuster, a general decline in interest in superhero movies amongst casual audiences, and yes, inflation and skyrocketing cost of living, making movie night a more difficult financial decision, have all likely affected the MCU's bottom line to some extent. But the one thing most access media refuses to acknowledge, and what I have always assumed was the biggest concern, was just a proliferation of shitty content. After Endgame, Marvel shifted its focus away from the popular Marvel characters that made them rich, focusing on more female and diverse characters, playing identity politics, introducing the MCU, race and gender swapping existing characters and deconstructing and disrespecting the legacy ones, tactlessly injecting bullshit politics and social awareness into practically everything, and basically just creating bad stuff, entertainment that is unentertaining. Lo and behold, it seems they finally got the memo last year when they released 2 fairly well-received movies, The Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four: First Steps. But neither of those films really moved the needle. Thunderbolts flopped outright, and the Fantastic Four maybe just barely broke even, signaling that maybe Marvel had burned through the last of its goodwill. Even when the content is good, people don't seem to show up anymore. Which brings us to 2026, and the upcoming Marvel movies that absolutely have to be a success. Spider-Man Brand New Day premieres this summer, and early reactions seem promising. The trailer that released last month broke the record for most watched movie trailer ever, and most of the buzz online has been positive, even from the most cynical corners of nerddom. After that, Doomsday is set to release in December, and Marvel is trying everything they can to reignite the fire of the Endgame era. Not only did they bring back the Russo brothers to write and direct, that's the same team that did Infinity War and Endgame, and Robert Downey Jr., who was basically the face of Marvel in phases 1 through 3, but they also seem to be largely ignoring the stuff that happened in phases 4 and 5. Now, they haven't said it outright, but if you read between the lines, this movie is rumored to pick up right where Endgame left off, and there is a noticeable absence of several of the important characters that appeared in post-Endgame trash, like the Marvels, She-Hulk, Echo, Ironheart, the Eternals, Kate Bishop, and several other prominent characters appear to be missing from the cast list. It's like they want you to forget all about that garbage and just think of the good times. Remember Infinity War? Remember Endgame? And they are sparing no expense either. They are swinging for the fences with this thing, spending a staggering sum of money to pull out all the stops. All right, let's read this really quick article. This is from Comic Book Resources, or CBR.com. Avengers Doomsday reportedly breaks MCU record that could hurt its success. So Avengers Doomsday has reportedly broken a pretty big record for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The production and marketing budgets for the superhero crossover movie have just been revealed by insider John Campea, and it signals a long road to profitability for Marvel Studios. On his YouTube show, Campea shared that he had been told that Doomsday has an eye-popping production budget of $400 million. Additionally, Marvel Studios reportedly plans to spend another $300 million on marketing. Given that studios roughly evenly split box office revenue with theaters, Avengers Doomsday will need to make at least $1.5 billion just to break even. A decade ago, no one would have blinked twice at thinking that an Avengers movie couldn't gross $1.5 billion at the box office. However, since COVID-19, movies, but especially those in the superhero genre, have struggled at the box office. Marvel Studios in particular has had a hard time launching new characters, with Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals all grossing far less than MCU movies released before the pandemic. Even established superheroes like Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Ant-Man saw their more recent movies struggle or flop at the box office. Simply put, the MCU has been struggling, with only Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, and the Guardians of the Galaxy finding success at the global box office. Avengers Doomsday will still likely manage to make it past the $1.5 billion benchmark, especially since the last Avengers movie, Endgame, grossed $2.8 billion. However, how much more it makes beyond that number is up in the air, especially considering that James Cameron's last Avatar movie, 2025's Fire and Ash, grossed just under $1.5 billion, a steep drop from its predecessor's $2.3 billion haul. Thankfully, Marvel Studios is aware that times have changed for superhero movies at the box office, which is why it's making sure that Doomsday will be the blockbuster event of 2026. The upcoming crossover movie is set to bring together three major Marvel superhero teams: the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four, for the first time ever on the big screen. Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are also making their first appearances in the MCU since Avengers Endgame, with the latter reprising his role as Steve Rogers. As for Downey, he will be portraying the villainous Dr. Doom in both Doomsday and its sequel, Secret Wars. Joe and Anthony Russo directed Avengers Doomsday, which is currently slated to hit theaters on December 18, 2026, as part of Phase 6 of the MCU. So yeah, the reported production budget is $400 million, with a staggering $300 million marketing budget. I mean, even if that's accurate, that makes this one of the most expensive movies ever produced. But is it accurate? I mean, $400 million actually seems low, doesn't it? We know that the Russos were paid somewhere around $80 million to do Doomsday and Secret Wars, and Robert Downey Jr. got paid at least that much, with some reports suggesting he's getting $100 million up front. What about the rest of the giant A-list cast? Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, these guys aren't working cheap, I'll bet. I mean, cast and crew's salaries probably top $400 million before a single frame is shot. And like the article says, if those numbers are accurate, the Doomsday will have to make basically $1.5 billion to break even. That's because studios have to pay close to half the box office receipts to the movie theaters. Then there's also back-end bonuses to certain cast and crew, amongst other various and sundry costs. I mean, depending on what the actual budget is, and what all they have to pay out at the end of the day, it could be that this movie will have to actually hit $2 billion to turn a profit. And that is actually insane. I mean, I fully expect this movie to break $1.5 billion, and quite possibly even $2 billion. The Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Dr. Doom all on the screen together for the first time ever. Yes, there could definitely be enough hype to propel this movie to box office greatness. But to count on it doing that, just to recover that ridiculous budget, is absolutely crazy. Then again, it may be that Marvel isn't really expecting to make a huge profit on this thing. Maybe they would be happy even losing a little money if this movie at least brought back some of the magic from the old days. Maybe they are just hoping that they can rekindle some of that lost love and restore the MCU in the good graces of the audience. By focusing on fan service and nostalgia, they could be priming the fan base for a new era of Marvel entertainment in the hopes that the franchise can live on into the future. Can they do it? Only time will tell. What do you think? Do you think Avengers Doomsday is going to break box office records? Do you think it'll revive the Marvel brand and save the MCU? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Bye for now. We hope to see you next time in the Culture Ward.